Hello again. I've spoken before about the way in which IQ tests fell from favour in both this country and in much of the rest of the world. There were various reasons for this, such as the great scandal involving Cyril Burt in the 1970s. Another reason that nobody wants to talk about IQ tests in a modern multicultural society is, of course, that when you analyse the data, it quickly becomes apparent that intelligence in the population is not shared evenly among all groups, but actually forms a predictable gradient with those of East Asian ancestry at the top, black people at the bottom, and white people in the middle. This pattern is found whenever intellectual ability is examined, whether in the form of IQ tests, the top grades of British A-level examinations, or the Scholastic Aptitude Test, which American teenagers take before going to university. Always the same pattern emerges. This is, of course, embarrassing in the 21st century, now that schools are so mixed and most children receive the same education at the same schools. Why is it that students in Britain of black African ancestry do so poorly at A levels and those from Chinese families so well? It is a complete mystery. As an aside, we might mention that in one American state, this problem has been effectively dealt with in a very simple and entirely cost-free manner as a result of a court case in 1979 known as the Larry P. case. It is unlawful in California for psychologists to administer IQ tests to African Americans for the purpose of assessing whether they have low intelligence and therefore need special educational provision. The tests were ruled by a court that year to be culturally biased against black children. Curiously enough, this supposed bias doesn't seem to militate against the interests of children from Chinese or Korean families. Speaking to people, you often they get the feeling that people, generally speaking, people think that IQ tests are no longer a thing these days. You don't hear about them much, and I think a lot of people have assumed that IQ tests are something that you might go in for if you wanted to join Mensa or something. I don't think that most people realise that IQ tests are still being administered to hundreds of thousands of children every single September, and that they are uh, more common now than ever they were in the past. I thought I'd mention that IQ tests are still going strong in this country. Um, the fact is, most children in Britain have his or her IQ measured at the age of 11. Few people are aware that this is happening, though, because these tests are not called IQ tests, but rather the CAT-4 test. It is administered at various stages, like primary school and up to the age of 17, but most commonly to children of the age of 11 when they start at maintained secondary schools in Britain. Over half the children beginning secondary school in this country in September are tested using the CAT-4 test. And the results are very carefully studied for what they reveal about the intelligence of the nation's youth. Because once the children have been tested, the results are forwarded to the Department for Education. They tell us a great deal about the relative levels of intelligence of the various ethnic groups, which now make up a good proportion of school children here. This process is really top secret, though. The CAT-4 test, CAT is an acronym of Cognitive Abilities Test, and the 4 simply indicates that this is a fourth edition is designed to test children's reasoning skills, verbal, non-verbal, mathematical, and spatial abilities. It is, in other words, an intelligence test, although nobody is ever allowed to call it such. When it's administered in schools, it's absolutely verboten to mention use the term intelligence test. It's supposed to be, uh, well, the ostensible reason for using the CAT-4 is that it identifies different approaches to learning for children and finds their weaknesses and strengths. This is nonsense. All the business about some children learning kinetically and others visually or through audio input is little better than pseudoscience. The real purpose is to find which children are bright and which are more slow-witted, so that the teachers know what to expect of their pupils. Once the results are correlated, they are forwarded, suitably anonymised, to the Department of Education, so that the people in government can have some idea of the state of play about 11-year-olds in Britain. In the description to this video, I give an example of a study of the results in one secondary school. Um, I think the viewers might find it interesting to look through. It gives a summary of the CAT-4 test. Overall, the picture is fascinating when the national results are all examined because it confirms all the observations made on the subject for almost 200 years. That is to say that the black pupils always tend to be weaker in all areas than white or East Asian ones. This is regardless of social class, family income, and everything like that. It is simply the case, and it has been since time immemorial. I thought that viewers might be interested to hear about this because unless they're teachers or psychologists, I suspect they will have no idea at all that 400,000 11-year-olds, a little over half of all those who start secondary school each September, are having IQ tests administered to them in this way. I cannot really pretend to be surprised that the results of these tests, as they relate to ethnicity, are not being released. It is pretended that unfamiliarity with the English language is the only factor likely to affect the raw score on the CAT-4, but that's not true at all. It is not language or nationality which show up, but rather ethnicity and race.